Yo ho ho ho, Monolith Book Shadow back. I'm doing a tutorial for Victoria. This is probably, in my personal opinion, one of the most insane supports in the game. Like, she may seem simple and she kind of is easy to learn, but it's knowing when to do your skills and how to set them up for your team that makes her more of a harder skill cap, like hyper. But she can do some work, let me tell you. So we're going to look at her skills first, and I'm going to go over them in pretty good detail because of exactly how they work. I'm going to look at her passive. Ceaseless Prayers. Increase the max health of all allied hypers on the battlefield by 10%. Effect is worth 1.5 times for Victoria, 15%. Her Q. Empowers the chosen allied hyper within 2,000 units for 6 seconds with the following effects. Attack plus 10%, enemy defense ignored plus 10%, and activates Judgment when enemies are hit with regular attacks. When cast on herself, Victoria gains the following effects. Attack plus 15%, enemy defense ignored by 15%, attack speed plus 10%, and activates Judgment when enemies are hit with regular attacks. Judgment takes on the following characteristics. The first, it stuns the enemy for 0.5 seconds. Each attack causes an additional 26 damage up to 35. Judgment stun cooldown is 4 seconds. So that's pretty good when you have someone that's doing a lot of damage on your team, or if you find yourself caught out, which you shouldn't, with Victoria, and I'll go over that in a second too. You can actually buff that person and consistently do that, and also get a stun off on, say you put it on your allied striker, say your allied striker is Celine. You put it on her, that Judgment buff plus the stun with her attacks just constantly going through. It's an insane buff. Her W is Sinner's Prayer. And all allied hypers within 1,200 units, I want you to understand how large that actually is, have their health restored by 2.5% of max health per second. Allies, excluding herself, gain the following effects. Defense plus 17 up to, and max is up to 20. Victoria gains the following effects. Ignores all restrictions and interference effects, and trust me, that is blessed. But you cannot perform any other actions. Now that needs a little asterisk by it because you can still perform your E. Now, this consumes 10 mana every second for the duration. Press the skill again to end her prayer early. Now what your E does is Blessed Hill. Instantly restores the health of the 2 allied hypers with the lowest health within 1,300 units by 212, plus 5.5% of max health. Not affected by healing dispersion. Your E can be activated with your W. However, I want it to be known that you are counted in the entirety of the 2 lowest health. So if you see 2 people with low health and your target is to heal them, but you have lower health than one of them, you and another person will be healed. There will be a third person with low health. It prioritizes who has the lowest health within that range. So remember that. Her R, her ultimate, is Redemption. It revives a random fallen allied hyper to her side with the following effects. Has 50% of max health and 50% of max mana, and they are invincible for 2 seconds. I can't show you that in this, but I'll definitely be able to talk about it and explain a little bit of what it does. I'll actually do that now since I can't actually show it. When you cast this skill, you stop moving for the duration of the cast, and I believe the cast is about 1 second or something. It's something along those lines. A very short cast, but you can still be damaged. With that being said, it can be interrupted and it can be stopped. At least from what I've seen, it has been able to be. I don't know if that was something that wasn't supposed to happen, but it can. You can die while doing this. I was murdered. Anyway, so make sure that you're in a safe spot. There is no cooldown as far as, there is a cooldown for casting it, but say someone's dead and they've been dead, it's close to end game, they've been dead for about 30 seconds, they still have 30 seconds on the timer. If you can get away somewhere safe, you can still resurrect that person. So let that be known, you are still going to be able to resurrect the person. And as far as E is concerned, since I can't show you that, I already explained exactly how that works, but you can in fact heal during your prayer. You cannot buff during your prayer, you cannot A during your prayer, you cannot R during your prayer, but during your prayer you can E. So that's the only thing you can do. Your A is Chastise. Shoots a holy bolt dealing, the applicable damage, inflicting shame for 5 seconds. Alright, now we're gonna go over the items and I'll show you a little bit about the skills. This is the only hyper so far that I've actually put items on where I put 1 point in something early, like in 3 different items early, instead of just 1 point in my boots and then dispersing the gold into 1 item and finishing it out. I'll explain. So I got these boots because the mana regain in early game, you're going to need that when you do your prayer, because you're taking mana for each second you're doing your prayer. And you're going to be doing your prayer a lot. I'm going to hop back down to the skill real quick because I want to make note of something. Make sure you, if you're with your team, which you should be with your team when you do your prayer, you shouldn't just be sitting there praying because nothing else is happening. But make sure you apply your Q buff on whoever it is you're going to do it to before you do your prayer, because again, you cannot Q while praying. Anyway, so that's the reason why I put 1 point in this. Then the next thing I actually do, this is something you're going to try and finish out quickly, but that's not what I put my first point in. After that, I try to hit this with a point. The reason being is because I'll get 20 gold every 10 seconds, and that really helps with her, because you're definitely going to want to try and build your items fast to be supportive. So I would put it in 6, or wherever you put this item. Again, this is my choice in build. You can build her however you want, however you see fit, however you think works best for you. But I try to keep her a little bit tanky, very tanky actually, so she can stay in and do the hills and not die. The next item I actually go to is going to be my blue hyper. It's going to be my blue hyper ring. The reason being is because now I have a ward. That's the primary reason I do that. And when you're, depending on the map, honestly, you always want to have vision, but depending on the map, you're going to want to have to prioritize where you're putting your vision, how soon you get your vision, because like the Dragon's Lair, there's just one lane. So if you are playing a team that you know is going to flank a lot, you definitely want to try and get your vision in early as you can and fast as you can. And the next item I actually drop a point into is going to be my Scripture Sacrifice. The reason I actually get this Scripture Sacrifice is because it makes her prayer very broken. At the 3rd level, because you get defense, max health, health regain, defense, max health regain. This enhances Sinner's Prayer. Damage from enemies is negated by 10%, and mana is not consumed while praying, so you can sit there and pray as long as the skill lasts. You don't have to worry about running out of mana, you just pray. So, you know, I maxed that out. And after that, honestly, I keep these where they are unless I really feel that I'm really hurting for gold, then I'll max this out. It does do defense and max health with plus health regain and cooldown reduction. So all of those are good. The cooldown reduction is definitely great for your ultimate if your team is taking a lot of losses. But what I actually try to do is I'll finish this, of course finish my boots. I try my best to max out my boots second. Some cases it does not always happen. But then I go to Guardian's Codex, so I can get my defensive max health, cooldown reduction, and the aura. The aura that grants the following effect. Allies within 1,000 units get increased defense by 20, and increased movement speed by 20. So as long as they're near you, and again, they should be because you're going to be praying around them, they'll be getting this buff. Now, at which point, the task force shield, honestly, I typically do that last or close to last, so I can make sure I get those bonuses at the bottom, the defense plus 15 based on 3,500 health, and the defense plus 30 based on 4,250. But after which, I will actually finish out this item, the gold item. So I go to my step 2, and I'm getting 10 extra gold, so it's 30 altogether. And then I go to my step 3 with cooldown reduction, another set of extra gold. So that actually works out fantastic. And it won't show you the gold calculation here because it's training mode. Then I would actually finish out my blue hyper ring, set that up. Now I have my defense, max health, cooldown reduction. And before I actually get into my task force shield, so my health now is at 4,257. Before I even finish this item, then my max mana is 180, which isn't a problem since my W doesn't take mana anymore. Attack, really, you shouldn't be attacking too terribly much with her, but there are situations where you may have to. My defense is 198. And my movement speed is 670, so I'm pretty good to get in and out of situations. So we're going to finish out this task force shield, and we're going to look at my stats again, look at my health specifically, 4,659. I am pretty beefy as a little healing support, which honestly when you get her tanky and hard to kill, it's just beautiful. I have a good set of defense, good max health, I do have some health regain, cooldown reduction, and my skills go hand in hand with this. Now I'm going to actually show you what her skills do. First, I'm going to show you her attack pattern because it's pretty awesome that she actually uses this holy weapon, this holy bell, to just beat the crap out of people. So I'm going to use her A, and that inflicts the shame. So that's what the A does. It's what it looks like. It inflicts shame for 5 seconds. You can see the little tick right there for shame. It's a visual cue. I'll do my Q. Now normally I would have my other hyper teammate set up right here, but we're going to show you the buff on her. See my attack speed increased, stun, it's pretty solid. Alright, I'll show you what the W looks like. Now remember, I can't use Q, I can't use A. I'm tapping them now, it doesn't cancel it. I can dash out of it. So just to let you know, you can do that. You can dash out of it. I am going to turn on the AI here real quick, because I want to show you how the E works, because it will let me do it since I will be taking damage. I'm going to go ahead and sit and let her just, if she ever fires her arrow. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and E. There, see, I can heal while I'm in this prayer, but otherwise, no. And you can see how little damage I actually am taking based on my defense and my health. This would probably have ripped someone apart already. Granted, she does not have any items on her, but still, this is pretty good defense and pretty good max health with the health game. And I can always E to heal up, and at this point I'm pretty much just negating her damage, and my mana is still going back up because my boots are finished. Essentially what you want to do with Victoria is set it up to make it where your team is unkillable in brawls, because that's what's going to happen. If the enemy team tries to siege you under your tower, if you have teammates there, set up your buff, your Q if it's not on cooldown, pray your teammates will be a little bit safer, hold your E till they're low enough, heal them, and it keeps them alive, it keeps them in the game, and you're just like a fortress at that point. If they focus you, they're focusing their attention on the wrong thing, your team can collapse on whoever's focusing you, and you're just a sentinel of health. You are, essentially, you are an actual monolith. I mean, that's what it is. You're just this big thing that they can't get past. And that's honestly how she works. Your entire goal is to just assist your team as a support should, but she does it so well that it can be terrifying to be in game with a good Victoria, because she will keep everyone alive. And if you are lucky enough to be, if you're on the enemy team, to kill someone else, you better hope her ultimate's on cooldown, because she can set up a flank. For example, say you're on the Dragon Lair area, there's one lane, your team, you're playing Victoria. No, I'm sorry. We're gonna do, you're fighting Victoria. You kill their striker, right? Victoria goes missing. You know, you're like, alright, whatever, I guess she had to back off. She could have been low on health. Don't know. We'll say she is. She's low on health. She goes down a layer because the rest of the team is fighting in the middle. Resurrects their striker. They both come up behind you and just flank. She buffs the striker. She heals the striker. She prays for the striker. You're just getting blasted from the backside. You don't know what to do because now you're sandwiched. Plays like that can be set up with Victoria. Simply because how her healing and how her buffs work. And if you are using your wards actively, you'll be able to see, hey, can I go down there and do this? Communicate with your team. Tell them, hey guys, I have a plan. I'm going to resurrect you. We're going to be down here. I'm going to buff you. We're going to do this. We're going to come up behind them. It's going to be great. You can set up the plays. Just because you're a support, don't think that you can't call things like that. And she is really efficient with taking big boss objectives like the dragon itself, the invader, the executioner. You take your team down there, you set up your prayer, you got your E ready, you can buff someone, obviously do that beforehand, and just let them have at it. Look how huge that radius is for that prayer. Everyone in that's getting healed. Everyone. So that's my advice on playing her. That's how I actually play her. And she has become my favorite support because she's just so nasty. When I'll say this and be honest with you, once rank does come back, and there is a ban system, I'm going to ban her almost every time unless one of my teammates want to play her or I play her. It's just the support I don't want to see. Because if there is a good one, it is going to be extremely difficult to even kill the other team, let alone her. Well, anyway, guys, that's Monolith Brook Shadow's little tutorial item guide and build for her. If you have suggestions or if you have a hyper you want me to go over, leave a comment down below. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But the game, again, is releasing on Wednesday the 17th, so I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in there, getting some plays done. And, of course, as always, have a great morning, day, noon, or night. Get a yo-ho-ho-ho in there somewhere. I promise you it'll be better. Drink some coffee, water, milk, whatever it is you're drinking, especially with chocolate milk, I suppose. Make your day a little bit better. I'll see you guys on the next one. Monolith Brook Shadow signing out.